If you're wondering why I've got a QR code on the screen, you're thinking, really, do I have to check in here? Isn't this virtual? The QR code, if you just bring up your camera to the screen, will go straight through to my LinkedIn profile. So it means that you can then connect there. And I do actually have some resources. So if you want to connect with me, I can then send you some resources. Questions are also a gift to anybody who's not able to make it in present today. So yeah, if you've got any questions, shout through. Now, that's great. Oh, it helps if you switch on your keyboard. Sorry, everybody. Oh, there we go. Now, today we're talking about job search strategies. And my area of expertise is around LinkedIn. So I think that we all need to think of ourselves and our career as if we're a grizzly bear. And bear with me here. And we need to think of ourselves as being in America and being in that, being in America, North America, and being that grizzly bear and wanting to be hunted by people. Not that we hunt a lot here in Australia, which is why I'm using the US. And so we need to think, if we want to be hunted, we need to stand out. So I'm going to be talking about standing out. So putting a high vis vest on a grizzly bear. I did search for an image like that, but I couldn't find it. And if you want to be hunted, you don't just have to stand out. You've also got to get out from behind the tree. Nobody's going to see you if you've got the most beautiful LinkedIn profile, but you haven't connected with people and you haven't reached out and built those relationships. So I'm going to be touching on just a couple of tips around wearing high vis, so having a great profile, and a couple of tips around getting out from behind that tree. How do you reach out? How do you engage with people? How do you build those meaningful relationships? And how do you do that when you're changing careers? So a lot of you have done an MBA for a reason. So it's around, really sort of making sure we're not going to be covering over your whole LinkedIn profile. That's an hour-long conversation. We're just going to be tackling those 3 bits. And we're also going to be talking about having conversations or reaching out. So how do you search for people? How do you connect with people? Now, your profile photo. This is such an important part of your profile. And I know you're thinking, yeah, of course it is, but it's just so important that it is a headshot. So many people have a lot of white space around their photo, or they're standing so far back, they're like this. And the problem with standing so far back from the camera on your profile photo is that I can't see in your eyes. So when we think about our interactions online, we need to think about them as if they're in person, which is why we're saying, switch on the camera if you can, because we're trying to replicate that in-person feeling. And one of the best ways of building a relationship and building trust is to show up and show us what you look like and let us look in your eyes. So it's about building trust. So make sure you've got a profile photo where you're not wearing mirrored sunglasses. Almost every time I give that speech live in person, I get a couple of people going, oh, that's me. So make sure we can look in your eyes. Don't be too far back from the camera, and don't do that whole crossed arm, I'm a professional, and professional equals grumpy, because the world's moved on from that. We're about professional equals, psychological safety at work and looking after each other and showcasing the organization's values and your values. So make sure that you are showing up as that whole person. Now, a key important part of your profile is your headline. So yes, Sinead, I used your profile here. So you can see here that your headline follows you everywhere. So your headline, if you look at the image at the bottom of this screen, your headline sits underneath your name. If you look at the image on the left of your screen, you'll see comments on a post, and you can see that Rebecca and Cara, when they've commented on my post, their headline has appeared. So your headline is as important, if not more important in some ways, than your photo. When you look at the image at the top right, you can see where I've reached out to our next speaker, Sinead Connolly, and reached out and said, I'm excited about speaking with you on Friday. So I've sent her that invite to connect. Every time I direct a message, Sinead, I see her beautiful headline, which just reminds me who she works with and what she does. So it's a really important part of your profile. When I said it's a really important part of your profile, and it's almost more important than your profile photo, it's almost more important because your LinkedIn photo doesn't impact your relevancy ranking. So your relevancy ranking is how you are found on LinkedIn when somebody searches in the search bar for skills. Your headline is one of the core pieces that makes up that ranking, relevancy ranking algorithm. So if we think of this as a mathematical formula, not my strong point, but bear with me, let's see if I can make a good job of this. If we think of the relevancy ranking algorithm as what it is, a mathematical formula, different parts of your profile have different weightings. So it's important to have the right keywords all through your profile. They need to be captured in your skills. They need to be captured in your job titles, are very important. Less important, they need to be captured in your experience section. Fairly important, they need to be captured in your about section. Very important that they're captured in your headline. You've got 220 characters, so including spaces. So think about your headline having all of the keywords that somebody would look for when they're searching for somebody like you. So if you're in a process of transitioning and you're moving from one role to another, one industry from another, think, what is it you want to be known for? Try and shed that skin of what you used to do. This is what I've done, so that's what I'll keep talking about, because that's how you'll keep stuck in that box. Talk about what it is you want to do and think about those keywords. And one of the best ways of thinking about keywords is to look through job adverts. What are the job adverts asking for? And make sure that you've captured that. So when we think about a project manager, just as an example, it's such a great example searching for project managers, because a project manager is never just a project manager. I should know, I write a lot of profiles for project managers. They can also be a program manager. They could be a scrum master. There's so many keywords that project managers can be. You could be a project manager in infrastructure or in technology. So think about, what are the other areas that describe your expertise that somebody might look for, and collect as many of those keywords as you can in your headline. Now, another key important part that I mentioned just very briefly earlier is your about section. So if you don't have an about section, also known confusingly in some parts of LinkedIn as your summary section, it used to be known as your summary, but it's now called your about section. It's been called your about section for about 2 years. I think it's so interesting that they changed it to being called about, because this is about you. If you don't have it, click on the add profile section. So what do you put in your about section? I think you should put your why. I think you should talk about why you do what you do, and try and bridge a gap if you're changing careers. And I'm just mentioning that because I'm guessing that a lot of you might be. And I put in the chat, let us know with a yes if you are changing careers. Let other people who are in this presentation today also go, right, I'm not the only one who's changing, because I'm sure many of you are. Let us know in the chat if you are. Because when you're moving from one industry or one role to another, you need to bridge that gap, and your about is where you can talk about that. So this is my profile. I used to be a recruiter. I was a recruiter for 14 years. I then became a LinkedIn profile writer, and then bolted onto that in late 2014, LinkedIn training. So I've had 3 careers, if you like. And so I bridge that gap, And so I think it's really important that you do talk about why you do what you do. This is another profile that I've written for Kirsty. And she works in real estate now, but she used to work in technology in the futures and options exchange, so on the stock market. So we bridged the gap with talking about how she's moved from the stock market and technology to why she's in real estate. It's all about investment. Another example here, a client of mine who was a financial controller has got a degree, a bachelor's of accounting, got midway through her CPA, dropped out because her mum got sick, very sick. And now she works in project management in healthcare. when I was talking with her to help to write her profile, I said, Cassandra, I've got permission to show these. I said, Cassandra, why healthcare? And she said, oh, I don't know. And I said, did you say your mum was sick? She's like, yeah, my mum had cancer 7 times. Stage 4, she died of cancer. I'm like, wow, we've got to put that in your profile. That's why you're in healthcare. That's why you want to make that difference. So think about your why. Think about the world we're living in now, and how authentic everybody is, and how people really want to talk about why they do what they do. Their interest in it. Another client of mine, Eric, I love this example because love his profile. It was such a joy to write because he's a builder at heart, and he likes carpentry, so I've snapped that in. He really loves building stuff. But if we look at his about section, all through his about, we're talking about, third paragraph down, I gravitate towards projects that touch people. He's talking about what his interests are. And second last line, I dislike guessing. So I collect and use evidence to shape user experience. So get a piece of paper, put a line down it, and think about, what are your transferable skills? What did you used to do? And what are you moving towards? If you're not changing career, you're still moving towards something. So when we talk about the roles we want, we become known as that. So think about how you can bridge the gaps. I think that second last line, I dislike guessing, is interesting because so many profiles I write are for people where they have to talk about their comfort with ambiguity. They have to talk about how they have to just guess at what works. It's about failing fast and failing forward. Eric hates failing. He's terrified of failing. So we're wearing that. We're really showing up as all that people are. So just a little reminder on what we've touched on so far. Now, getting out from behind the tree, that's about really being active in thinking about what are the companies you want to work for. And again, having that list of companies that you want to work for, and proactively putting into the search bar those companies. So here I'm using an example of Telstra, and I hope you notice that I didn't just click on the first logo of Telstra that I saw. Where you've got, when you list on the companies, when you bring a company up, and if you can do this on your mobile phone, so do it with us if you like. You can put in the name of the company, and you can then just click on all of the employees, and you can then click on all filters, and you can slice and dice this. So on LinkedIn, you can reverse engineer your success. You don't have to wait to see the right job advert. You can go to the companies that you want to work for. And I always love starting with companies that you least want to work for, so that you can sort of practice, if you like. You can get good and used to reaching out. So think of all of the companies that you want to work for, and send people who are within your job family, the kind of roles you're going for. Send them invitations to connect. So I work a lot with Telstra, do a lot of training for them. So hence that's why I'm using them as an example and sending them invites. So think about your target list of companies, and remember that you can also search in there for, you could search for people like Sinead, put words like talent in there, and then refine it by city. You can find recruiters who are within your industry or job family, and search proactively for people. Now, when you're reaching out to people, don't just click connect, 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 connect. Think about building touch points. Think about what I said earlier, that around eye contact, that being online it needs to feel, and it needs to be like being in person, which is why we love seeing you. So make sure that you're also dropping in there all of your contact details, and that you are personalizing those invitations to connect. It's so much warmer. I believe it's really important to include your contact details, and Sinead can give us a nod here, because every time I've been direct messaging Sinead, I'm putting my contact details because I'm really looking forward and hoping to collaborate. So I want Sinead to never be going, oh, Karen sounded okay. What's her email address again? I want her to see it everywhere. I want to be constantly reminded of me, and also have my phone number. I know that very few people are making phone calls these days, but you know, if you just include your phone number, you're giving people that opportunity of just going, oh my gosh, this is just the person I need. Look, I've got to dash into a meeting soon. You know what? I'm just going to call them. You know, so make it easy for people to contact you. Now, how you add a personal message, just click on connect and then click add note. It's amazing how many times on desktop you just don't see it because we're so used to ignoring pop-up boxes. So click connect and then click add note to personalize your invitation to connect. And on mobile, it's a little bit trickier. You've got to click on the more button. Also click on the more button whenever you're looking at somebody who maybe has got the default set to follow. Just because the default set to follow doesn't mean that you can't reach out with a personalized invitation to connect and say, hi, I see we work in the same industry. You know, and you could go gently, gently in connecting with them. Now, when I say gently, gently, what do you do once you've connected with people? So I get asked that quite a lot. And please do drop your questions in the chat because we'll be taking questions in a couple of minutes and then I've unfortunately got to dash. But once you've connected to somebody, a little bit like face to face, that's where you're then thinking, what can I give this person? You know, when you're face to face with somebody, you don't walk up to them and say, you know, hi, this is all about me. Now, what do you think about me? And, oh, have you got a job for me? You don't do that face to face. So please don't do that online. Instead, online, you want to go very slowly in sending a personalized invitation to connect, then finding a podcast that they might like. So I'm sorry, I think I didn't check how to pronounce your name. Is it Jaka? Shaka?
It's Yaka.
Yes. Yaka, I'm so sorry. So I did this with Yaka, didn't I? Here's a podcast you might like, you know? So it's just about going, you know, and thinking, what can I give? Not what can I get, but give. And then say, once you've given and you've had a bit of interaction, you know, can we catch up for a coffee? I'd love to learn more about your industry. You know, do you have a few seconds to have a quick look at my resume? You know, that sort of thing. So go gently, gently, focus on what you can give and think too about leaving voice messages. Voice messages are very, very, very powerful on platform because it really connects us on that human to human level. So, so I hope that that's been helpful. Now, can we just take a couple of quick questions? Is that all right?
Yes.
As the questions are coming through, please do reach out to me because I've got a whole load of templates that I can easily send in LinkedIn direct messages that are how to reach out to people that you haven't spoken to for 5 years. How do you reach out to people that you really want to do business with? And also, how do you follow up? So I've got some scripts, so please do reach out.
Thank you so much, Karen. And this is the time to ask the questions. Look, if you prefer to use the chat function, by all means do so. But we're also welcoming you guys to unmute yourself and jump in and ask the question directly to Karen. Do we have anyone who is keen?
I can see somebody raising a hand, but
Irene, yes.
Me, Irene.
Yes, go for it, Irene.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, and I'm glad I didn't miss this session. I don't know, I missed it earlier, but I think I'm patting myself for having joined this. So now, coming to me, of course, I work at the accounting department. I have completed my MBA, but never have a LinkedIn account because I never felt the need. Oh, I'm not changing jobs. I'm stuck here for life. And so I don't even have an account. So I need to start from scratch.
Everybody's on LinkedIn. So just, do you mind me sort of cutting in quick there? So quick stat, we've got 11.2 million member profiles on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
11.2. Our population's, what is it, Paul? 26, 27 million? You know, so that's about 93%, 95% of our workforce is on LinkedIn. You need to have a profile.
And also, it's the first result that you get on Google. Google loves the SEO of LinkedIn. So if you are not on LinkedIn, you are likely not on Google either. So in order to be found, it's really important.
Just to briefly add, like there are like mega celebrities and mega blockbuster folks who don't use LinkedIn, and that's obviously fine. But I think at the moment there's close to 1 billion people on LinkedIn. So Irene, you might be famous and not need to do the whole LinkedIn piece. And if that's the case, fantastic. But for most other folks, it's obviously a great place to be over time as well.
I
Because I
think
just felt
famous people need it because they might be famous now, but hopefully in a couple of years, we're going to be going Kardashians. Who are they?
Exactly.
Let's hope on that.
no, it's not because I'm famous or something. It's just that I never thought I took that this is a platform when you're looking for jobs or you want to be seen by people. And I just felt that I'm comfortable because I was still studying and having a lot of other issues. So I thought, okay, I don't really need it. But now with what's happening around in universities and all that, I just feel, and having completed successfully my studies makes no sense if I don't move on or if I don't look even within the same industry for a better option. So this is where I now find the need. Yes, I need to do this.
Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to say one thing and then I'm afraid I do have to dash because I've got a
Yeah.
one. So I'll leave you with, and I know Sinead's got a lot to cover too. But I think this is where we need to think of it as a relationship management tool. Every organization has a CRM database, right? So this is where you can manage everybody that you've ever met, that you've ever crossed professional paths. This can be your personal CRM database that determines if and how somebody thinks of you, if and how somebody thinks of you. So it's so powerful. You know, I've run my whole business through LinkedIn. I'm not looking for a job, but I'm looking to do business and future collaborations with MGSM and with Sinead. So I'm reaching out to them. So this is a business tool, and where you may have colleagues that are in Asia Pacific or on the other side of the world, this is going to keep yourself front of mind with them. Now, I'm afraid I've got to dash.
Thank you so
Enjoy
much.
Sinead's. I know it's going to be amazing. I'm devastated that I'm missing it.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, everybody. Bye.